She wasn't due back for another 9 hours, maybe more. That's the story I fed Jennifer, my wife. Lies. All lies. 6 months ago, my world imploded. 42 years of marriage, and I find out she's playing away, seeing some other guy. It rocked me, 2 gut punches in a row. First, the betrayal. I genuinely believed we had something special, a real bond. Second, the principle. Years back, I'd laid it out clear as day. If I ever caught her messing around, I'd take care of the guy, permanently. No hesitation, no regrets. Just me, him, and a shallow grave. She knew I meant it. Crystal clear. But jail? No thanks. Not my idea of a retirement plan. Especially not now, not at my age. Thought about getting Mikey, an old pal from the neighborhood, to handle it. But where's the satisfaction in that? This was personal. Had to be me. Finding out she was with someone else, that wasn't enough. I needed a name, a face, so I bugged the place. Old school but effective. Turns out it was David Miller, her boss. Slimy creep. Once I knew it was him, I figured it'd be easy to take care of. But my little electronic spies picked up more than just their whispered sweet nothings. They had a plan. A nasty little scheme that showed they thought I was a bigger sucker than I looked. Infidelity wasn't enough for them. They wanted the whole enchilada, wanted me locked up, out of the picture, while they lived high on the hog with my money. Gotta admit, if I hadn't caught on, if I hadn't overheard their little plotting session, it just might have worked. They almost had me, so here I am, chilling in my backyard in Brooklyn, waiting for Jennifer to roll up with David Slimy Miller. Tonight's gonna be a night they won't forget. A real eye-opener. Didn't have to wait long. His black BMW, all shiny and pretentious, pulled up to the curb. Watching them try to sneak into my brownstone, like a couple of teenagers on prom night, was almost comical. Almost. Gave them 5 minutes. Let them get cozy. Then I made my entrance. "Jennifer." "David," I said, cool as ice, nodding a greeting. They jumped like they'd been electrocuted. Their faces. Picture 2 goldfish in a bowl. Someone just dumped a jolt of lightning in there. Priceless. I even managed a thin smile. "Drinks, anyone?" I strolled over to the antique bar cart, snagged a bottle of spiced wine. Mulled wine. Homemade. Old family recipe. German, you know. They call it Glühwein. "David, you gotta try this. It's something else." No, I really should get going," he stammered. All his usual swagger vanished. "Come on, David, that's bull and you know it. You were planning on making a night of it. Relax. Pretend I'm not even here. You two were doing just fine until I barged in. Sorry to interrupt." You're not mad?" Jennifer asked, voice trembling, eyes darting around like a trapped bird. She looked genuinely bewildered. "Mad? Honey, come on. We both know things have been distant lately. Haven't been close to you in months. Not since, well, you know. You've got needs. I get it." Truth was, I hadn't touched her since I heard those tapes. Disgusting. I walked over to the fireplace, picked up the iron poker. Heard them both suck in air. Smoothly, I jammed the poker into the red-hot coals, let it sit there, glowing. Then back to the bar cart, grabbed 3 glasses, poured the mulled wine, carried the glasses to the mantelpiece, poker out of the fire, plunged it into each glass, one by one, Rich, fruity steam filled the room, mingling with the scent of burning wood. Best served warm, stovetop, microwave, whatever, but I'm old school, like the traditional method. Poker back in its stand, relief washed over their faces, visible as a physical wave. "This is really good," David said, taking a tentative sip. "Sweet and warming." "No, not for me," Jennifer said, waving a hand. "Just water, please." "Of course, honey." I headed to the kitchen, got her a glass of water. "Here you go, darling." Back in the living room. "Thank you, sweetie." She took a sip, then, "Are you really sure you're okay with David being here?" Still probing, still testing the waters. I shrugged, casual. "Of course I am, dear. Here, David." I pulled a blister pack from my pocket, tossed it to him. "Doctor gave me these a while back. Didn't do jack for me. But since you're here, doing my job, you might as well have 'em. They're wasted on me." Thanks," he said, fumbling the pills. "See, Jennifer? Like Viagra. Heard they work wonders," I added, a hint of fake sadness in my voice. Neither of them relaxed. I topped off our glasses, poked them again with the poker for good measure, the smell of hot wine filling the air. "Look, don't let me cramp your style. I'll take a walk. It's freezing out there, though." I gestured toward the staircase. "Go on, you two. Head upstairs. I'll catch something on TV. Yell if you need anything. Seriously, go." I waved them towards the stairs. They hesitated. I gave them a gentle push. Compliance, instinct, maybe just plain wanting to escape my presence. They started moving. "Pop one of those pills, David. Might loosen things up. Help with the performance anxiety. Go on. Have some fun. Seriously, you won't be disappointed. Come down later. We can all hang out, chat. Once you're, relaxed. Sorry again for making things awkward." I heard them whispering upstairs. Sounded like forever before the bed springs started squeaking. Then Jennifer's little noises, those sounds I knew so intimately. The mattress started thumping rhythmically. Squeaks morphed into pants, then those raw, animalistic grunts. A tear pricked my eye. Remembered when those sounds were for me. Long gone. I stepped out onto the back porch. Needed some air, needed to do something. When I came back in, shivering, it was damn cold out there. Upstairs was quiet. Sat down. 10 minutes, maybe more. Wondered if they'd passed out. Then I heard someone get out of bed, headed for the bathroom. Sounded like David. Toilet flushed. Muffled voices again, then footsteps on the stairs. "Is it okay if we come down?" Jennifer asked, voice small, hesitant. "Come on, Jen, stop playing coy. Told you it's cool, didn't I?" A sliver of impatience crept into my voice. "No, really, is it okay? You were okay with it? With us?" She stammered, still testing, still unsure. "Yeah, Jen, it's fine." You enjoyed yourself, right?" I softened my tone, trying for reassuring. "Yes," she whispered, but still tense. "But you always said, what you'd do if I ever saw anyone." "Yeah, well, times change, situations change, people change. What can I say? That was then, this is now. Now call lover boy down here. Let's have a little chat." She called him. David shuffled down, wrapped in my old bathrobe. The nerve of the guy. But I kept my mouth shut. held my temper in check, got them to sit on the sofa, all awkwardly close, brought them fresh drinks, water for her, more mulled wine for me and David. "So, David," I began, voice even, almost friendly, "assume my wife lived up to your expectations?" Yeah, definitely," he mumbled, still on edge. "Good. Now, David, you mind if I ask you a few questions? Just a little curiosity." "No, I guess not." "Go ahead, ask away," he replied, still sounding jumpy. "See, David, I always thought your relationship with Jennifer was a little strained. She always blamed you for that promotion she didn't get last year." "Yeah, that's true," Jennifer interjected quickly. "And yet, here you are. Strange, isn't it? How do you go from being her public enemy #1 to sharing her bed?" I fixed Jennifer with a stare. She looked genuinely worried now. "She told me a month or so ago that it was water under the bridge. Wanted to bury the hatchet, you know. Couple of lunches, then dinner last week, and tonight," he confessed, totally clueless. Poor sap. Almost felt a pang of pity for him. Almost. He was still sleeping with another man's wife. My wife. I noticed his glass was empty. Topped it off. Poker warmed it again. Same for mine. "I think you should really be going, David," Jennifer blurted out, her voice tight. "Nonsense, honey. That'd be rude. Besides, David's had a drink. Wouldn't be safe to drive now, would it?" I said, my eyes never leaving hers. Maybe she's right," David stammered, starting to sweat. "No, David, stay. Enjoy our hospitality. Maybe you can take her upstairs again in a bit," I said to him, but my gaze was locked on Jennifer. "Now, where were we? Oh, yeah. Don't you find it a little weird, David, this sudden turnaround?" I asked him, my voice dropping a notch, turning colder. "Well, I guess, but, you know." He trailed off, the penny finally starting to drop. "And you, my love, can you explain this miraculous transformation in your relationship?" "No, not really. It just happened like he said," she replied, voice barely a whisper. "You see," I said, addressing them both, my voice taking on a hard edge. "Like I mentioned earlier, I found out dear Jennifer was stepping out on me about 6 months ago. I knew it wasn't you, David. Not at first. Wasn't sure who it was. So I took steps. Took a couple of months to set things up. Could have been quicker, but maybe a part of me didn't really want to know. Easy these days, though. Couple of tiny recorders in the house. Boom. Week later, I knew exactly who was getting intimate with my wife. Jennifer's face drained of color. Pure white. She looked genuinely terrified now. Could have dealt with it right then and there. But then I heard you two talking. Heard your little plan. You wanted to frame me. Set me up. Find some poor schmuck. You'd stage a scene. I'd walk in, catch you in the act. Almost in the act, anyway. And I'd do what I always said I'd do. Kill him. Jennifer, you look like you're about to faint. I think she's starting to figure things out." Even David was looking pale now, his eyes darting between Jennifer and me. So, even though I knew what was going on, and Jennifer dropped a few hints, shall we say, I confided in a buddy, Mikey. Remember Mikey from the old neighborhood, Jen? Told him the whole story. He suggested we play along. Tell Jennifer I was going out of town. Lay low. Wait for her to bring her friend over. And when she did, well, you know, I'd do the business. He'd help me get rid of the evidence. But really, Mikey's a good guy. He'd call the cops. I'd end up in prison, locked up for defending my property. But it didn't go down like that, did it? You see, David, Jennifer here never intended to get intimate with you tonight. Not really. But when I walked in and said what I said, I didn't exactly give her much of a choice, did I? But from the sounds of it, once you got her going, you both had a pretty good time. So, consider that my little gift to you, David. Even though I mostly used it to get back at her, and that other guy she's been sneaking around with. Other guy? David asked, brow furrowed, confused again. Never mind him for now. Point is, she expected me to stop her. Jennifer did. But instead she had to go through with it. Tell me, Jen, did you feel even a little bit guilty? Betraying the love of your life? Jennifer just stared at me, mouth open, no words coming out. Well, Mikey didn't like hearing you with David. Heard it all. Better than I did, actually. 'Cause I patched him into the audio feed, taped the headphones right to his head. Jennifer gasped, her eyes widening in horror. He cried, you know. Can you imagine? Big, tough Mikey from Brooklyn, crying because he had to listen to his best friend's wife banging some other dude. Who would have believed it? I chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. Yeah, he was pretty cut up about it. I looked at them, frozen, petrified, literally too scared to blink. Of course, my dear, you know we can't be together anymore. You'll need to find yourself a new place to live. No, I'm not kicking you out tonight. But the new owners will want you gone. Sold the brownstone last week, everything in it, to a women's shelter. You know, for battered wives. Can't think of the exact name right now. Oh, and about the bank account? Pretty much cleaned out. Gave it all to charity, too, along with the cash from selling the cars. Get it? We're broke, flat busted. Nothing to our name. One final little gift for you, my dear, I said, reaching down beside my chair. Picked up a small wrapped box. Wait a sec. One more thing before you unwrap it. I carried the box over to her, my legs feeling a little shaky now. The mulled wine was starting to kick in, and something else, something extra. I was starting to feel a little nauseous, weak. The glue wine had a little something special added, ground up castor beans. Calculated it just right. About 4 beans per bottle. Lethal dose, of course. Sorry, David, collateral damage. But a man can't just stand by and let another man have his wife without doing something about it, right? The books say 1 bean is enough for most people. But I wanted to be sure. Yeah, between the two of us, we've probably got enough poison in us to kill 6 people. For you, Jennifer, it's punishment. Me? I can't live like this. Heart ripped out, stomped on. Oh, and by the way, no antidote. We're all going to die. Maybe in a few hours, maybe a couple of days, but definitely dead. Looking down at Jennifer, her eyes wide with dawning horror. You can open your present now, dear. She looked at me, then at the box. Hands trembling violently, she fumbled with the wrapping, tore it open, and lifted the lid. She screamed. A raw, primal scream that tore through the silence of the room and kept on going. The box slipped from her numb fingers, crashing to the floor, spilling its contents. David stared down at the mess. And he screamed too. I looked down at the bloody, mangled remains of Davis Johnson and Bulls, my prize-winning bulldog, smiled. The rest of him is out in the garden, frozen solid, impersonating a brass monkey. Someone's going to have to chip him off the patio. Got a little carried away. The brownstone sank into an eerie silence, broken only by the faint ticking of a grandfather clock somewhere in the hall, a sound that suddenly seemed deafening. The cold, metallic tang of blood and death hung heavy in the air, suffocating, inescapable. Jennifer and David remained frozen, statues of terror. Their faces pale, eyes wide, minds struggling to comprehend the monstrous reality that had just been unveiled. As the minutes bled into hours, the poison began its grim work. David, the smug executive, the confident adulterer, was reduced to a whimpering shell. His body convulsed with waves of agony, clutching his stomach, each ragged breath a stark reminder of his dwindling time. Jennifer, eyes fixed blankly on the gruesome contents of the box, had stopped screaming. Her voice was gone, along with any semblance of sanity she'd managed to cling to throughout this unfolding nightmare. Outside, the world continued its relentless march. People laughed in restaurants, oblivious to the tragedy unfolding behind closed doors. Children played in the park, their innocent joy a stark contrast to the horror within these walls. Life went on for everyone else. But inside the brownstone, time stood still. The slow, creeping death that had taken root in their veins became their only reality. In his final moments, David could only replay his foolish choices. How easily he'd walked into this meticulously crafted trap. He wasn't the first, and he wouldn't be the last. Man destroyed by greed and lust. Jennifer, however, remained eerily silent, still as death itself, as though her soul had already departed, leaving behind only a hollow shell. As for me, the betrayed husband, I sat calmly in my chair, watching them fade. My body weakening, but my mind clear, strangely at peace. I didn't feel the fear that gripped them. I felt a twisted sense of satisfaction. Revenge was complete. We would all die here together. But I would die knowing I'd taken back control, exacted the ultimate price for their betrayal. The hours ticked by, each one a hammer blow. One by one, they succumbed to the poison, their lives draining away as silently as the wind through the cracks of the old house. Days later, when the authorities finally forced their way in, alerted by concerned neighbors who hadn't seen any sign of life, they found 3 bodies, each body a silent testament to a story of betrayal, revenge, and unspeakable horror. And so, the tale of the man who loved too deeply and was betrayed too completely reached its fitting, if tragic, end.